Okay, now we're going to do second 3. So this test basically didn't change. Other than, again, I don't even think we made the medium walk a double coefficient because that was a mistake on our part, actually. So this test is basically the same. We did? Okay, then a second 2 we didn't. Oh, no, it's one of the third level. There's one that we missed. Second 3, double coefficient on medium walk? It's not, is it? Yeah, whoops. Oops. So anyway, so this test is basically the same. The simple changes in this test have to be good because you're about to start flying changes. And third level 1 way back in the day had no flying changes in it, and people were getting their bronze medals, and we went, nope, not anymore. Okay? And now the flying change in third 1 is a double coefficient. So if your simple changes aren't good, have fun with that flying change. It's probably not going to work very well. Okay? So again, we're graduation day. So I'm going to be a lot tougher on the second 3, not a lot, but I am going to be tougher on second 3 than I would be on a second 1 test. Okay?
Okay, for second level test 3, we have Bettina Loy from San Diego. She's riding her own mare, Kaanjii, who's an 8-year-old, and she showed 4th. She's a 4th level mare.
So we'll see if the horse will do simple changes, huh? Once they start flying changes, sometimes it's like... Swinging haunches in halt. 6.5. Good balance, could have more power. 8. Clear transitions. 8. Too much bend in the neck. 7. That's better there, Bettina. Good balance. 8. Needs more angle. 6.5. Good ground cover, don't hurry. 7.5. 8 for the transitions. Too much angle, haunches drifting out. First half, 6.5. Overshot center line, 6.5. Needs more angle, 6. Gosh, she's gorgeous. I like the way she's waited for the horse to settle. Needs more direct depart and rounder connection, 6.5. Braced in neck, but quite small, 7.5. More fluid here, 8. Could take bigger strides, but very clear rhythm, 7.5. Good demonstration. The horse is elastic. The horse is reaching as far as she can. The rhythm is very clear. An 8. You don't have to write all that down. Could have more jump in transition, 7. A little fussy in bridle, 6.5. Down transition too early, 6.5. Nice flying change, but not required. That's a friendly way to tell him, oops. 4. It's the problem with having an upper level horse do an easier ride. They're like, but I'm good at changes. Here, look. Trots down. A 6. Could cover more ground. She's being smart because she had a little bit of trouble the last time. 7, changes leads at F. 5, because you have to take the 1 here and account too, so don't go all the way to a 4 because that's too tough, because the up transition was fine. Braced in neck. Some tension in croup high. She wants to do a flying change so bad. 6.5. Oh, she's cool. Ah, good girl. Down transition, a little abrupt but good sitting. 7.5. Transition a little abrupt, 7. Needs to be straighter in the trot. Swinging haunches in the halt. The 6. I think I could get this one in my suitcase. I can't see in my sunglasses over there. Okay. So, here's an argument against that just because your horse is higher trained means that they're going to beat my horse that's only really learning second level. Because this horse knows so much, she was sometimes not waiting for the rider. And she's like, but I just want to do a flying change. I'm really good at them. Okay? So a super quality horse, but not totally on the rider's aids today, okay? Because she was like, but we're doing pre-St. George, aren't we? What's up with this? But really good horse. So the biggest issue with her is she avoids staying on the aids with her crookedness. And that's, now I have to pay more attention to that in second level than I did. And the second shoulder in, she just threw her haunches out. They can't, the haunches on a shoulder in, the hind legs go straight ahead like this. And she went like this, because it's easier. Okay? It started out good, and then she went, bink. She's very clever. Cool horse. She is clever, isn't she? She makes you work for it, I think. It'll pay off. And it will definitely pay off. But that's how this horse evades things. Is she doesn't really just, although in the one canter she got a little grumpy. And then I thought she was smart because she had issues with the first medium canter, so then the second medium canter she was a little cautious. I think it was smart, so she didn't end up with another, although she did it after because the horse swapped again. But so one problem with horses that learn to do flying changes and are really good at them, they use them against you all the time. I have a horse that he'll start doing ones and you can't stop him if he decides to do it. It's hilarious, but anyway. So this test is basically the same. This was a super horse to show the level of balance that we would love to see in second level 3. We usually don't see quite this level of balance. This horse is a fourth, moving into Pre-St. George probably, right? Yeah. So she's it's easy for her. It's probably a little too easy for her, so she didn't have to focus as much because it was a little bit easy versus what she's doing in her training. And mares like to be busy, they like a job. But the balance of it, and the other thing I wanted to point out is her first medium. Did anybody think it wasn't enough compared to the second one? Did it cover as much ground as the second one? The second one did cover more ground. But the medium trot, we want them to come the most off the ground. The medium trot is the precursor to the passage. So we want them to come off the ground. Okay? I liked the first one better because she stayed in a really good balance. The tempo didn't change at all. And if you watch the height of her legs, there was about 12 inches between her legs and the ground. The second one I would have called a very nice extended trot. Would you agree? Yeah. The second one was, for me, for an extended trot, it was a little quick, but it covered really good ground. But the medium trot is not supposed to be the ultimate ground cover. The extended trot is. Okay? So they are two different things. I remember back in the day when Hilda would just say, go on, Carolyn, both. Okay. Which you can. But there should actually, if she had done those two in Pre-St. George, I would have given I think I gave it the same thing. I gave the 8 to the first medium trot. And the second one I only gave a 7 because it got too quick and it didn't come off the ground like the first one. If that had been an extended trot, I probably would have given it a 7.5, and the reason I wouldn't go to 8 is, again, the tempo got quicker than the collected trot. So, but the first one, the tempo never changed, and that's huge. It's supposed to be the same in all the different trots, and she kept the tempo perfectly the same. Yep. Yep. So when you're on an airplane at the end of the runway and he hasn't started moving yet, but he powers up the engines, does he have power in that plane before he lets go to start down the runway? Yeah, but is there power in the plane?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any speed? No, because you're not moving, right? Speed is how fast. Tempo is speed. That's how miles per hour. I want RPMs. Okay? I want more turbo engine, but not going 800 miles an hour instead of 400 miles an hour.
Which is what she did on the second.
Right. Yeah. She got a little bit faster. And the problem is a lot of times, if the judge, Kingston always got cheated. in his extended canters because they were so easy for him. And if the judges weren't paying attention, they didn't notice that he had like 2 feet of overtrack. Because it was like, but you have to look at the feet, what the feet are doing. And sometimes he got cheated. He would get a 7. And his extended canter was nothing less than a 9 ever. It was huge, and nothing changed. The tempo is the speed. Okay? When I'm judging, I don't use the word needs more activity because it makes most people go home and chase their horse around. Okay? Because people get it confused. Activity is not speed. It is not the miles per hour. Activity is, I can walk like this, and I can walk like this. My stride length didn't change, but my activity did. Okay? Does that make sense? And if my speed increases, if I walk like this and then I speed up, I can't take as long of a stride. I simply can't do it, especially since I'm blonde. Okay? I would fall down. You have to give the horse the time to take the long stride. Does that make sense? Okay, and she did a beautiful job. I was probably cheap with the 8, actually. It probably should have been a 9. Any other questions on this? Yes? Hang on, I can't hear you. Yep. Yeah, I like the way she took her time. Now, if she sits there for 5 minutes, I might not. Okay. I think I counted to about 7 or 8 before but it was very clear. The other issue is what's happening. It was very clear she was not asking for the rein back yet. The question up here was, is it okay for her to halt so long before she does the rein back? And my answer is yes. Now, if she puts the aids on, her aids were very correct and very clear for a rein back. If she puts the aids on, or she puts the wrong aids on, pulls on the rein, kick, whatever, and the horse stands there, that's a different situation. But she was very distinctly asking the horse to wait. Okay? And then when she put her leg on to ask the horse to go back, the horse immediately responded. Could have kept a little bit better connection, but it immediately went, okay. Okay? Does that make sense? But if the rider's trying to get the horse to go back and the horse is ignoring them, then that's not good. Because one of my comments for that is slow to respond. Okay? And sometimes the horse never goes back. Any other questions on this one? Thank you very much. She's lovely. Good luck with her this year. You good girl. We got some major mare power going on in dressage these days, guys. It's awesome. Yeah, she's lovely. Had some nice demo horses today, huh? But with real she didn't have a perfect ride. She had things go wrong. And that's happens. So if Donna's horse had come in and ridden the same test and been totally on the aids through the whole thing, even though he's not as big of a mover, he could have easily beaten her. Okay? Training comes first. Then you add in the quality of the gaits. Because she had some pretty big, not any blunders, but some mistakes. Are we lunch now? Is that right? I thought so. Any questions on what we've done so far this morning? If you come in the bathroom and ask me 18 questions again. Yeah? Okay, you?
When you're actually stepping back, how much are you looking for as far as stepping?
Good question. Her question is, when the horse is rein backing, how much are you looking for them stepping? If they drag their feet, that is a major fault. Okay, you'll see some of them go like this. All right, you'll see a lot of them do that. You want the horse to, like that. You don't want them to rush. You want them to be relaxed, but you want them to not go. Okay? All right, you want them to march back and go. Okay? That makes sense? So you want some decent separation of the hind legs, but I wouldn't want them to take such a big step that then they might lose their balance and have to have an interruption in it. So I wouldn't ask them to take a huge step, but maybe like 12 inches of, okay. Okay? Down here, questions? Somebody? Yep. Okay, yeah, head bobbing in the canter. There's two reasons that it's when the horse canters like this, okay? I don't know how they do it and not get dizzy, but, and when they wag their head like this, it's like, oh, already making me dizzy. Head bobbing, there's two reasons it occurs. One, they're not strong enough and engaged enough, okay? You see it a lot in young horses that have a really good canter. They just can't keep, they're trying to be uphill, but then they get uphill and they're like, okay, I gotta, and they start using their head and neck for balance. You see horses do it in transitions into the canter, particularly from the walk. They'll kind of go like this into the canter. That is not coming off the bit. That is them using their head and neck to get into the canter. It's using their head and neck to keep the canter, okay? So for me, with a young horse, I would let them down a little bit if they were doing that and let them, second level, they don't need to be as uphill as this horse was, okay? And I even pre-St. George, if that horse does that, I would let it down an inch and it probably would go away. The other reason it can happen is too braced of a connection and you're blocking the horse from, because in the walk and the canter, the horse naturally oscillates their head and neck. Everybody know that? They have to move their head and neck to have their best walk and canter. So if you hold them like this and don't allow them to do that, they will not have their best walk or canter. Okay? She wasn't doing that. So I know it wasn't that. But the horse, in the level of the uphillness that she was trying to keep, the horse couldn't do it without a little bit of this. But you can still give a 7 with that. I wouldn't go to an 8 with that, but even at Grand Prix, you'll see it. Yep.
With the half turn up haunches, is a coefficient.
Yes.
So, like for the RPMs that you're talking about in between the actual turn.
That the score for the walk in between the turns goes into the walk score. Only the turn goes into the turn score.
So on the haunches, what did you see out there that maybe could have done?
What I really want to see when they do the turn on the haunches is I want to see them keep the rhythm, okay? Then they have, when they turn, they have to come this way with the hind leg. They don't cross over, because they'll fall over if they do that. But they have to step towards the center of their body, okay? And then turn. And you want this leg, especially in a walk pirouette, in the walk pirouette, you're hoping this leg will stay almost in place. In a turn on the haunches, they can use about 1 meter of arc. And then the shoulders have to come around also. And sometimes you'll see them do more sideways than turning. You'll see them kind of go like this and then take a turn step and this and then take a turn step and that. They need to keep turning, okay? They need to do both.
So it's not too bad to go larger instead of
If the horse is going to lose the walk, it's better to keep it big, as long as you don't get too big. And sometimes people at second and third level try to do a pirouette instead of turn on the haunches, and it comes back to haunt them. If they do a good one, they get bonus points. If they do a bad one, it goes down because the pirouette's smaller. Any other questions? Yeah?
question that I've always been a little curious about. When a horse carries their tail either high or up, or they're swishing a lot, does that affect how you do movements?
It depends. The question is if the horse carries the tail to one side, if they have a wry tail, which is a severe. If I'm judging in the breed ring, a wry tail is not good. Okay? If they're swishing their tail, how does it impact the score? For me, it depends on the rest of the picture. It's the same thing as if they're grinding their teeth or if they have their ears back a little bit. Okay? If they only have the tail swishing a little bit, there's a couple mares that have done quite well internationally that they just swish their tail all the time. It's hard to go to an 8 when that's happening, even when everything else is fine, because that is a sign of some sort of tension, but I wouldn't kill it. Now, if their tail is swishing, their mouth is open, the tongue's coming up, then it all starts building up. So you have to take the whole picture into account. Yep. Okay. Yeah, but if everything else is okay, maybe that's just how he carries his ears. I think the tongue issue is unfortunate because now the tongue that's out here going baroo, 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 baroo is bad. But there are horses that stick their tongue out, especially older horses, the teeth don't close anymore. And the tongue will just be like, and everything's going fine. I have to deduct for it. I do have to deduct for it. That tongue, I don't know that we're being correct in doing that, but that's the game we play. The tongue that's here, this one, a little snake tongue, that one you can, if it's just a little tiny bit, that one we can usually ignore. Okay, the one that's out twirling around trying to do somersaults, that's major. Okay, but that horse, if it's only over on this side, the judge that's on that side of the ring sees the horse come down center line and like, oh, I'm going to get creamed. Because that judge is going to be given low scores and the other people may, and there's the judge at C, the judge at over, and those three judges probably won't see it very often. So that horse could have a huge discrepancy in scores and be correctly discrepant in scores. If we were all supposed to give the same score for every horse, for every movement, we could just have one judge. It's my suggestion. Save some money. Then you can pay us $1,500 a day. Your other question?
I just had an older horse mouth issue.
There are math issues that occur just because of their age.
Yeah, and so she looks like she's bracing even though you have the latest hands on her, and so there's really nothing you can do.
She might be bracing in her jaw, but she's still on your team. If I see that and the connection is good, I probably can still give a 7. I might not go an 8 because it means she's probably not completely through. Usually it will affect the throughness to some degree. But it's really important to look at the whole picture. And when I teach people judging training, and I do a ton of teaching for the breeds shows and the conformation and movement, if you hone in on that club foot, your score is going to be too low. You got to start with your wide, and I do this with every movement every horse does. I start with my wide angle lens, and I let the whole picture take me in, and then I zoom in. Because if you start with the zoom lens, your score will be too low. You'll hone in on something and go, oh my God! And you won't see that the horse is in this beautiful uphill balance or whatever, okay? Any other questions before we, yep, down here? And what's the question?
So the question is it better to just let them a bigger walk with less contact instead of keeping them up to keep it from getting lateral?
Okay, her question is in the walk. If the horse has a tendency to get lateral, is it better to keep the horse in a bigger walk with a longer connection versus shortening the connection and risking that the walk gets lateral? My answer is yes, very much so. If I have a horse that has a lateral tendency in their walk, I don't do a collected walk on them. I do a medium walk at Grand Prix and get the comment needs more collection, 6 or 7, versus doing a collected walk and having them tell me it's lateral and getting a 4. And it is a double coefficient in all the FEI tests. So, does that answer that? Is that clear, everybody? The shorter you get it, I'm not going to say always, because I've seen one where the rhythm got worse in the free walk, and I'm like, huh? 99.99999% of the time, the more contact, the worse the rhythm, if there's a rhythm issue. Okay? That's why we're trying to get people to pay attention to the lower level. You do not do collected walk until 4th level. Don't be trying to make these horses do these short, tight walks. It's wrong. And it's bad training. That's why there's a coefficient of 2 now. You can blame me for that one.
All right, everyone, let's give a round of applause to Kristi. This is a really cool event. I really appreciate, on behalf of the whole board, all of you coming out today and learning with us. I want to make just a couple announcements. I know everyone's getting really hungry. This year, for 2019, our chapter show has moved dates. Yay! Hopefully we will avoid rain. Normally our chapter show is in February, and it always rains. We have now moved it to March 30th and 31st at the Del Mar Horse Park, same location. It is now a level 3 qualifier. It is now a young rider qualifier, para-dressage qualifier, a sport horse show, where Kristi is actually going to be one of our officials along with Michael Osinski. He's from Washington too, right? Yeah.
We've all moved to Washington.
If you're a judge, you need to move to Washington. So please save the date for that. It is going to be an incredible event. We've got great officials, and I believe a better date for the elements that we sometimes have in San Diego.